Here's the book that I'm going to use for my next round robin, and I didn't film myself putting this together because I had laryngitis last week, and I thought this would be a good thing to do while I couldn't really talk. So I'm just going to sort of talk you through what I did. This was originally a Greek textbook. It's all written in Greek, and it had sort of a, you can see it better on the back side. It had a burgundy side strip that wrapped around the spine, and then this was cream colored, and it had a little bit of embossing here and here in gold, and also embossed title on the spine in gold. So I had a lot of different things to deal with. So I started with a very slick book, which I scuffed up and sanded and then gessoed quite a bit to sort of fill in the embossing over here and to give myself a nice flat surface. Then I applied some dimensional wallpaper, and this is wallpaper that's meant to be painted. You can find it in, I don't know, at Lowe's or Home Depot, and you can also find it online. They sell, this company is Anaglypta, and they sell sample sheets that are 8 by 10 for like $2. So you can get dimensional wallpaper that's already meant to accept paint, and the patterns and textures that they have are really interesting. And I like to use it to fake embossed books. So I glued down a piece of this, painted over it, and then cut out from a piece of lightweight chipboard the letter that I wanted to use. It's an S, in case you can't tell. It is sort of hard to tell, but that's okay, because I sort of wanted something that looked very medieval and was a little hard to read. So I cut this out from chipboard, and then I also punched holes with just a regular hole punch, and used the holes that I punched to add some ornaments that were free from this, just to give it a little more visual interest and to make it look less like a piece of chipboard that I cut out. Then I painted over everything and gave it quite a few coats of alizarin crimson paint. And then I let it dry overnight and came back in with some adhesive just on the raised portions of this S, and then gold leafed over the top of it. And then I dealt with the inside. Let me show you what it looks like when it's not finished. This book really wants to fall apart on me, so I'm sort of fighting against it to hold it together long enough for it to go through a round robin. So I had to do a little mending. I've actually glued some pages over to hold the page block into the book, and then laid down a piece of duct tape. And then I went ahead and lined the front section with some of this beautiful handmade paper from, I think this one is from Black Ink, and they do this paper in several different colorways. Probably the most popular one is the one that's in water tones. It's in blue and blue-green. But I've always really loved this orange paper, and there's a paper store close by to me called Paper Planet that specializes in handmade wedding invitations, and they carry a bunch of beautiful handmade papers. And so I'm get a sheet of this or a half sheet of this every time I go in there. And I think it's really kind of a beautiful presentation to have this sort of plain burgundy cover and then open it up. And I picked up the gold. Here, this paper has gold in it that picks up the gold in the letter. So, and originally this book had just a plain ivory end paper. It was kind of boring. So now I need to do a little mending here, and I'm probably going to do it as I add in the first set of pages. But I also need to drop the end papers into this bag back here. So basically what I need to do is cut a piece of paper that is the right height and slightly longer than the book. And I generally lay in this end paper starting with the end of the book right here and line it all the way out to the end of this page, and then I can just turn the page and trim off the excess. So I'm going to cut a piece of paper and then I'll come back and show you how I drop it in. So I have my cut piece here and I'm about to glue it in. And one of the reasons I like working with this paper is because it has a crinkle in it, which I can use to my advantage when I'm trying to get an exact coverage of all of this old white paper and painty mess over here, because I can actually lay down a layer of glue and then stretch the paper slightly so that it covers up all the way to the edge. So I don't have to worry about cutting perfection. I could just cut it very close to the right size and then smooth it a little bit wider if I need to. So I just put this in with glue stick. The paper is very receptive to dry glue. It's not really great with wet glue. I don't like using this kind of paper with liquid glues. It gets kind of cranky, and it's also very messy. So I'll do one half at a time. That gives the first half a second to dry while I'm working on the other side. And I can also lay in a little extra glue where the paper is going to cross the gutter. And I'm not shy with the glue. Every bottle on the table just fell over. I always try to fold it while it's still wet to allow the paper to get tucked down into the crease of the gutter. And then when this is dry, I'll come back and do a little artful trimming so that this is, because it's hanging over the edge quite a bit right here. Here. It's hanging over the edge quite a bit right here, and also over here, and that's not unusual for an end paper. Very often we think of books as being perfect and square, but they're not. They're often crooked on the ends, so it's not unusual to have to trim this down a little bit. But it's pretty darn close to the right size. And again, I'm going to have to do some gluing, something here, because really this last page wouldn't be printed. It would be plain in a book, and because I used several pages to hold the page block in by gluing them across over to the cover, I've ended up with printed pages here. So probably some art is going to go here, but at the very least I'll probably drop in just a very lightweight blank ivory colored to match the pages, just so that it doesn't look weird like this. And also this is just a single page, and I've already prepared this book so that pages are glued together. There's 2 or 3 pages glued together all the way through the book, and pages have been removed from it. You can see that from the side right here. It's very much thicker at the spine than it is out here. And that's so that as the other artists work in the book and add bulk to it, it doesn't end up looking wedge-shaped. It ends up looking flatter. So there you go. That's how I hid all my sins back here. And I'm very happy with the look of this book now.